So in this video, we'll talk about cholesterol. And again, I believe it's important because cholesterol, medical professionals recommend to reduce consumption of cholesterol, especially fatty meat and animal fats. So it is again, my opinion is different. As always, I recommend you to download presentation as PDF file from the link in the description. You will get access to the links and to the source of information, make your own research. Don't rely on my opinion because I'm not a medical professional. I'm doctor in science and with kind of large number of scientific publications. In the last 5 years, I was working in biology, mostly for my own benefits, to live a few hundred years, maybe forever. So let's see how it will work, and okay, let's go into details. Cholesterol is a vital structural component of cell membranes and serves as a precursor for essential steroids in the body, including corticosteroids, sex hormones, bile acids, and vitamin D. In adult humans, about 400 milligrams of cholesterol per day is converted into bile acids, and only around 50 milligrams is converted into hormones. Approximately half of the body cholesterol, half of the cholesterol is synthesized internally from acetyl-CoA enzyme A, and while the rest comes from dietary sources such as animal fats. The widespread opinion is that cholesterol-rich foods like eggs, butter, and fatty meat lead to the development of atherosclerosis, and it is nothing can be more wrong than this opinion. So, okay, what is going? Cholesterol can be converted to progesterone. It is, and then further to this steroids, corticosteroids and testosterone, etc., and also to estradiol in women. So it is very, very important source. Not to mention that in cell membranes, it is absolutely important to keep the membranes flexible. The statin paradox and shift in the understanding. Cholesterol is carried by the bloodstream in lipoproteins. Again, high-density lipoprotein is considered as good cholesterol that removes excess of cholesterol from cells to the liver, while low-density lipoprotein primarily moves cholesterol and triglycerides from the liver to the body tissues, and it is called as bad cholesterol. Again, it is such manipulation is absolutely wrong. It has no logic. So since the late 80s, elevated levels of low-density lipoprotein have been considered as primary cause of atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease. Nothing can be more wrong. Consequently, statins, drugs that inhibit cholesterol production in the liver, become cornerstones of prevention and the curing of cardiovascular disease. Again, it is absolutely wrong. So cholesterol is important for production of bile by the liver, and bile is necessary to digest fat, so especially animal fat. So fat breaks to droplets, small droplets, and then the enzymes break it to monoglycerides and fatty acids, and then it goes to it is absorbed through the membrane of cells in endothelium cells, and then further it goes to the bloodstream or to the lymph stream. It is again different little bit. So this is the structure of our guts. So you see this. It is very that high surface area. So it is nutrients are absorbed in villi. Villi, it is such structures and like finger-like structures, and they have capillaries, blood capillaries, and they have lymph capillary, but it is dead end capillary. Okay, so it is in small intestine, but in large intestine, in the colon, it is a little bit different. But anyway, it is the same principle. So the size of the lipoproteins are different for different types, and high density lipoprotein is small size, it is a few nanometers only, but then we have the largest size is kilomicrons. Kilomicrons, it is vessels which transport fatty acids and monoglycerides through the membrane of endothelium cells. So, okay, let's go. So due to the large size, kilomicrons cannot enter the bloodstream directly, so they are released into the lymphatic system, which eventually drains into the bloodstream. Once in the bloodstream, kilomicrons transport dietary triglycerides and cholesterol to various tissues and also to adipose tissue for storage if it is too much of the fat. So the structure of low and very low density lipoproteins are such that, again, you see cholesterol and cholesterol ester present a lot of large part of the surface of the membrane, and so it is again very, very important to keep the membrane stable. But also it has some not pure cholesterol inside the cell cells. Okay, this is you see the chemical composition of the kilomicrons. Kilomicrons mostly have this triglycerides inside, and cholesterol and protein small amounts. But the LDL has large amount of cholesterol, larger amount of cholesterol, and have also protein, it's amino acids. And again, high density lipoproteins have small amount of cholesterol and a larger amount of protein. Okay, however, evidence suggests that this approach may be misguided. This is approach to reduce consumption of animal fats. Statins have not been shown to significantly reverse atherosclerotic plaques in humans. Second, the benefits of statins for primary prevention of atherosclerosis are increasingly questioned. It is no benefits. Epidemiological data reveals a counterintuitive relationship in individuals over 50. High cholesterol levels are often associated with lower all-cause mortality. Yes. So all cholesterol, including LDL and high density lipoprotein also. So, and a decrease in cholesterol is linked to reduced life expectancy. This data indicates that total cholesterol is poor predictor of risk in older population, and prompts a re-evaluation of the underlying cause of atherosclerosis, and it is known as cholesterol protocol. So again, consumption of cholesterol is not increasing the mortality risk, but actually quite opposite. So the hazard ratio for all-cause mortality according to the total serum cholesterol, blood cholesterol, was measured in this publication, and you see that high cause of mortality is high. The risk of mortality is higher for people with low amount of total cholesterol. So the high amount of the cholesterol is the less death mortality, risk of the mortality. So again, also you see that all-cause mortality in individuals aged more than 85 years. Okay, you see that it is again, you see that high amount. Okay, so it is 6, 7. Okay, the mortality is increasing, of course, in very old people, but it is increasing not as quick for people with high concentration of the cholesterol in serum, in blood. Okay? The higher, the longer people live. the higher cholesterol in the blood, the longer they live. The consumption of seed oils is promoted by mainstream because Western medicine, it is recommended as healthy fats. It is, again, cannot be, anything cannot be more wrong. So nothing can be more wrong. Seed oils are promoted as healthy alternative to saturated fat in animal fat for reducing the risk of atherosclerosis. These oils are rich in plant sterols, and on average, phytosterol, that's fraction represents 0.5% of oil. So the structure resembles a little bit cholesterol, but and then it is getting consumed and get into the blood with the same mechanism as cholesterol, but it is again different in structure. And phytosterol reduce or inhibit intestinal absorption of cholesterol from animal fats. The unabsorbed cholesterol, along with the phytosterols, is then eliminated in feces. The official recommended doses of phytosterols is 2-3 grams per day. It is, again, all this idea that people have to consume vegetable oils or seed oils, and to get 2-3 grams of phytosterols from food, it is, again, it is so wrong, so wrong. Some food products are even enriched with phytosterols, especially margarines, sauces, soy products and fruits, and some cereal and sausages also. So be in mind that this processed food can be not healthy at all. It is, according to the recommendation of medical professionals, it can have a lot of plant sterols or phytosterols. Okay, what is happening? If without plant sterols, cholesterol is getting to the blood stream, eventually get into the bloodstream. But with this plant sterols, less cholesterol is getting to the blood, and it is considered as good, but it is, again, nothing more wrong. Okay, so what is happening also in the American diet? American diet since 80s, this vegetable oils were much promoted, even from 60s. And you see that consumption of vegetable oils, seed oils, is growing very quick. That more than twice. It's increased from 1960 to 2020. And meanwhile, consumption of beef, pork, and it was even dropping. And dairy was about the same, but okay, you see that animal fats are consumption of animal fats is reduced according to the medical professionals' recommendations, and but consumption of so-called healthy seed oils is increased. But also, what is the consequence? Obesity. Obesity is increasing so much. It is, again, more than 30% of Americans suffer from obesity. If it is actually, we will consider not only obesity, but also that people are not healthy with some chronic diseases. It is more than 30%, almost 70% of Americans cannot be considered as healthy. And this is according to some opinions. It is because of the seed oils. So life expectancy in America also, what is interesting. So it is from 2020, life expectancy dropping. So the expenses, the cost of the medical care, or so-called disease care, is increasing year by year, and in America it is already 18% of global of the total total product. But despite the more money go to the medical professionals, the life expectancy is dropping. Why it is dropping with the delay? Because people, again, they started the consumption is mostly in 1980s, and then it took 40 years for them to die, to shorten, and then again the average life expectancy is dropping quite a lot. So again, if we can compare composition of dietary fats, so the most healthy is considered butter. Butter is very good, and it has a high amount of saturated fat, but also have some oleic acid a little bit, but also it is butyric acid. Butyric acid is very, very healthy. And coconut oil is the highest in saturated fats, and it is actually good, but it is the problem with coconut oil, it has no butyric acid. Butyric acid, it is short chain fatty acids, which is very important for gut health. And these seed oils are very, very high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, especially like safflower, canola oil, and flaxseed. Flaxseed, it is again, flaxseed is recommended, especially recommended because they have omega-3, and even it is proposed as supplement, this flaxseed oil, and it is people use it as supplement, as omega-3 fatty acid, but again, it is, even if it is omega-3 fatty acid, it is not essential. It is not essential at all. And it is shortening the lifespan, certainly, and it is due to the industrial way to produce it, it is already oxidized. So it is already toxic. So, again, what we can compare cholesterol structure here and phytosterol. You see, it is quite similar, little bit similar, but not the same. And the other phytosterols also structure here. Okay, so oxidized low-density lipoprotein. So it is what is the problem? It is not cholesterol problem, but it is oxidized low-density lipoprotein. So the conventional image of cholesterol plaques forming on arterial walls is misleading. First, it is not forming on the inside of the arterial walls. It is in arterial walls. It is first. Second, it is not cholesterol plaques. It is oxidized fat and also products of reaction of oxidized oil, fatty acid with proteins. So the pathology is more complex. The plaque initiation occurs in the wall of small capillaries and arteries within the wall tissue of large arteries such as aorta. This is again what I was talking. It is not on the inside of the walls, but it is in the walls, inside the wall. Arteries has a thick wall, and inside of this thick wall, this plaques is forming. Next, polyunsaturated fatty acids from seed oils are susceptible to oxidation even at room temperature. And then low-density lipoprotein particles that have been modified by oxidizing polyunsaturated fatty acids are called oxidized lipoprotein, low-density lipoprotein. Okay, then if you consume oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acids, it can be oxidized inside your body, or it is already oxidized due to cooking at high temperatures. And then you will get this oxidized low-density lipoprotein. This oxidized low-density lipoprotein is a problem. It's the high levels of this oxidized lipoprotein are this predictive biomarker of variety of diseases related to oxidative stress and atherosclerosis. So it is this. Oxidized low-density lipoprotein, not cholesterol, is the primary cause of the diseases. The substance, these products of reaction of oxidized fatty acids with proteins and sugars, they accumulate in plaques. It is not cholesterol, but it is low-density lipoprotein. It is the product of reaction of oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acids with sugars and with proteins. Heavily processed or reused for frying, seed oils raise or increase oxidative stress and increase level of this oxidated low-density lipoprotein and increase chronic inflammation. So this also oxidized low-density lipoprotein accumulates in the thymus and bone marrow. So this our immune system suffers. Okay, so again, what is happening? Bone marrow is getting tissues in the stem cells in bone marrow are getting replaced by this toxic substance, oxidized low-density lipoprotein, oxidized toxins, and also in thymus is getting smaller over time, and also it is saturated with these toxic products. So the inflammatory cascade of atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the best understood as inflammatory disease triggered by oxidized low-density lipoprotein. High intake of certain seed oils, primarily those high in omega-6 fatty acid, but omega-3 is the same. Not the same, but again, it is considered as essential fat, but again, it is not. So it can contribute to the development of atherosclerosis by promoting oxidative stress, inflammation, and high level of the oxidated low-density lipoprotein. And deposition, these particles, these oxidized low-density lipoprotein particles accumulate in the small vessels in capillaries inside the walls of large arteries. This accumulation initiates the development of atherosclerosis by triggering an inflammatory response. I was talking about this. So it is again not, it is close to the surface, but it is not on the inside of the wall. Not on the inside of the wall of the large arteries, it is in the wall. So what is happening? Again, these LDL particles, oxidized LDL particles accumulate, then it is creates oxidative stress, and then these immune cells are trying to come and to digest and break down these oxidized lipoprotein particles, but they cannot because they don't have, our body don't produce enzymes to break them down, so they consume in large amount these toxic products as they turn into foam cells. Foam cells are just macrophages, and which are with a lot of this junk. And eventually it is so much that the foam cells go to apoptosis, release signals of inflammation, pro-inflammatory signals, and attract more macrophages, and then it is going. But again, macrophages cannot digest oxidized lipoprotein particles. Cannot. So the inflammatory cascade of atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is best understood as inflammatory disease. As I told already, immune response, immune cells, macrophages migrate to the inflamed tissues to engulf oxidized lipids, but they are unable to digest and remove the oxidized lipids. Macrophages becomes enlarged, transforming into foam cells, and this is how phagocytosis, how they are supposed to digest and remove these toxic products. They swallow these food particles or oxidized low-density lipoprotein, and in principle, if enzymes are working, then the content of the lysosomes is digested and get out, and this nutrient and can be used as nutrients by other cells. But unfortunately, it is not happening with oxidized lipoproteins, low-density lipoproteins. Okay, this is another picture which shows that as a reaction to this information, also some cells produce fibers of collagen fibers. Okay, so again, eventually this plaque can break to inside of the aorta, create and lead to thrombosis and also to death. So, okay, this dysfunctional form cells often become senescent. Just because before they go to apoptosis, they can become senescent, secreting pro-inflammatory cytokines, so a senescent-associated secretory phenotype, eventually go to apoptosis. Okay, but this creates a self-perpetuating cycle of local inflammation that attracts more immune cells, increases the size of the plaque, thickens the arterial wall, narrows the lumen, and drives progression of cardiovascular diseases. Eventually, it can result in a rupture of the plaque, leading to the formation of blood clots, thrombi, that can block the artery and causing an causing this syndrome of acute coronary syndrome, stroke, and other complications. Okay, this is what can happen again, that the thrombosis is a complication of atherosclerosis. It also complicates the physical disruption of the atherosclerotic plaque. So it is again, you cannot remove this plaque because these immune cells cannot digest it, cannot break down these toxic products of this low-density lipoprotein. Therefore, not cholesterol itself, but deposition of oxidized lipids and products of reaction of these oxidized lipids with sugars and proteins. This deposition in the wall of large arteries and chronic tissue inflammation is a primary degradation event in atherosclerosis. So chronic inflammation is a common link between various age-related conditions. For example, psoriasis, it is chronic inflammatory skin disorder, is strongly associated with higher risk of coronary heart disease. Okay, you can see this. I was suffering from psoriasis when I came to Thailand. I started eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and so also I was using seed oils without knowledge that it is toxic. And it came to psoriasis, and because again, psoriasis is not only in the aorta, the atherosclerosis is the accumulation of this oxidized lipoprotein particles, low-density lipoprotein particles, is not happening only in aorta. It is also may happen in skin and other tissues. So, and this is, if you have psoriasis, it is even, it shows up before atherosclerosis. So, and the psoriasis also associated with other cardiovascular risk factors like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, etc. Okay, so I stopped eating these plants and vegetables and consuming seed oils, and then eventually psoriasis was cured. And atherosclerosis is more different to remove, but I cured it with my advanced enzymes. So major source of this systemic inflammation is gut dysfunction, also often termed leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut syndrome is exacerbated by grains, lectins, and improper food combining. It allows toxins and undigested proteins into the bloodstream, provoking an immune response. When the intestinal barrier is compromised, toxins and the microbial byproducts enter the bloodstream, provoking a chronic immune response. This idea was, this explanation was supported by animal research showing that a change in the gut microbiome in aged mice reversed vascular dysfunction. Okay, you see again, in how to change the gut microbiome, the easiest way to change the diet. Okay, this is how the psoriasis appears. I used to have such psoriasis, especially also on arms. So what is happening because of these toxic products, this endothelium layer get leaking. So and then in the gaps between the cells in epithelium, in the colon and also in thin gut, in thin intestine, it is then toxins are from food, and some other bacteria and other substances are getting to the bloodstream. And this is very dangerous. Okay, so the conclusion, a new paradigm. The prevailing model focusing on the reduction of cholesterol from animal fats is wrong, and more accurate framework recognizes atherosclerosis as an inflammatory condition where the primary agent in consumption of vegetable oils, seed oils, high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, leading to the high levels of oxidized low-density lipoprotein. The core pathology is inability of macrophages to digest oxidized lipids, leading to chronic inflammation and increase in the plaque, or in the size of the plaque in the wall of the large arteries. Okay, this is related to dysbiosis, and especially in older people, it is very common. So dysbiosis ignites this heart disease, atherosclerosis, hypertension, obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, etc. Very dangerous. So a key upstream driver is the systemic inflammation, often originating from dietary choices. It is like high intake of polyunsaturated fatty acids and high intake of fruits and vegetables, and also grains and products from grains. And so it is bad gut health. And this shift in understanding moves the focus from simply reducing cholesterol in the blood to reducing oxidative stress, mitigating chronic inflammation, and supporting gut barrier integrity. Okay, so actually, not in this video, but in other video, I was explaining that the use of microbial enzymes, it is possible to break down this oxidized low-density lipoprotein particles. It is not very easy to explain, but again, if you take I developed this product which has these microbial enzymes, and consumption of these enzymes leads to reducing high blood pressure. So it's again, after 2-3 months of using these advanced enzymes, hypertension is just disappear, and also it improves your energy. It improves in long term. It is even improves skin elasticity, but again, it is a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer. Okay, but the key is always gut barrier integrity. So, and as was explained in previous videos, that if you follow a carnivore diet, a strict carnivore diet, it is not very good for older people. You have to modify this diet by consumption of easy digestible animal proteins, like from eggs, from also whey protein, and also you have to use sauce vide technique to produce this easy digestible dishes from meat, and especially use organ meat like beef liver, very, very healthy. And it is actually quite affordable. It's not a problem, not a big problem. So, and if you will follow such diet, and if you especially also in combination with advanced enzymes, you are supposed to live much longer. Okay. So this, you can go to the source information, make your own research. Don't rely on my opinion. As a scientist, I don't rely on opinions. I rely on scientific publications. I read and analyze the scientific publications, and my opinion is formed not from recommendations of medical professionals and dietitians, but from the research, from own research. And research is like also reading scientific publications, thinking. It makes this what I did before as professional scientist, and I do it now, so it helps. But my recommendations is always very different from medical professionals, and it is even different from some people who promote a strict carnivore diet. Unfortunately, again, these people who promote strict carnivore diet, they are mostly young people. I am 68. And I understand, I make this research on my own body, and I understand that it is not enough. In older age, you have to change the strict carnivore diet. You have to go to modified carnivore diet. But it is very affordable. It is affordable, and also you can buy, it's very cheap, there's some essential amino acids, and consume it. It is not replacing red meat consumption, so I love grilled meat, and I love it, I use it, but I also care about shortening the gut transit time and consuming some laxatives, mild laxatives to shorten and to clean the gut, so that also I use large doses, mega doses of ascorbic acid to keep acidity in my gut, and acidity in my gut, it prevents the growth of these pathogens in the gut. So my gut is quite healthy, I believe. Okay, have a wonderful day. Ciao, ciao.